What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another week on the Action After. And this week, we're going to be looking at Matt West's Action After item. And that was to ask yourself, what is the one thing? Now, when we talk about the one thing, we're going to break this down into three separate Action After items this week. And the first one is going to be very simple. It's going to be, what is one thing that you would be excited and energized to do every single day? I want you to imagine that you were at Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, and let's say you got the golden ticket. And the golden ticket this time, though, was not just for the chocolate factory, but it was to really live the life that you want. And I want you to imagine you were given that golden ticket, and what is the thing that pops into your mind that you go, wow, if I was given a golden ticket, this is what I would do every single day that would just energize me, rile me up, and just kind of make me pinch myself and go, man, this is the life that I get to live. What would that one thing be that energizes you? Would it be maybe you want to travel? Would it be maybe you want to do something in action sports? Maybe it would be that you want to build things, right? Like, what's that one thing? And the first part here is I want you to write that down, right? Whether you got your notes on your phone, whether you have an old school pen and notepad like the way I do it, the way like Matt West likes to do it, write it down on pen and notepad if you have that available as well. So that's going to be step one. And then the second step here in the Action After is going to be to ask yourself one of the most powerful questions that we can start to ask ourselves as humans, and that question is why. I want you to ask yourself, why would that excite you? Right? Why would that pump you up to do that every single day? And write it down. An exercise I do a lot of the times with people is set 3 minutes aside, put a little bit of music on, and for 3 minutes, just write. Like, challenge yourself in that 3 minutes to not pick your pen up from the notepad. You say, for 3 minutes, I'm going to write, I'm going to brain dump, I'm just going to continue to let things flow. And what's happening neurologically is you're actually tapping into your subconscious, your unconscious mind, right? You're going to start to get some things as you go into that writing exercise that after this 3 minutes of really putting pen to notepad, you may start to go, I never thought about it that way, or I never really realize that that's why I wanted to do this. And there may be some incredible seeds, some incredible things you learn from this exercise that can help you either, one, do that in your life, or even two, maybe there's something else in your life that you can do, or maybe something even in your life that you're doing now that you didn't really realize why you enjoy certain parts of it, right? It's going to allow us to learn more about why you do the things you do and why the things that excite you, because once you know why something lights you up in life, it's so much easier to intentionally create more of it in our life. All right, so that's going to be number two. Again, pretty simple. Why do you get excited about that thing? Right, I'll share a simple example for me. For my exercise, and I always go back to this, right, is action sports is something I love in my life. So if I said, what is something I'd be energized to do? Maybe I would say action sports, right? Like go to events and travel and go meet the pros and, you know, all these other things. And if I started to ask myself, why does that excite me? It's because it gets my blood rushing. Like when I do these activities, when it's snowboarding, skateboarding, it's like, those are things that when I do it, everything else in life disintegrates and I'm just so present in my life. So what is it for you? Why is that it excites you? That's going to be number two. And then the third step, and honestly, this is my favorite step of the Action After today, is step 3 is called, it's time to engage your 5 senses. Now, in the episode with Matt West, one of the things he mentioned, and I had to stop him in the episode because I was so puzzled when he said this, but he said, I journal, and I journal with all 5 senses. Now, my brain, the way that it thought was, okay, when I journal, because I journal, I write things down, and like that's one sense. Like how do I get touch, taste? Like how do am I going to lick the paper? Like I was so confused at what do you mean you engage all five senses when you start to write about your life? And he broke it down so beautifully. And even as we were talking in the episode, I really started to understand how if you can engage five senses when you're talking about your life, when you're visualizing, when you're exploring what you want to do with your life, it takes your experience and 10x's it. And so what we're going to do here is I'm going to give you two ways that you can do this. Number one, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to write about your life in 3 years as if you pursued this thing that keeps you excited, this thing that makes you excited. And the way we're going to do it is as we look at your life in 3 years, you're either going to write about it or you're going to visualize it, right? So if you're someone you go, I'm not really the writing type. I don't really like writing things down. But when I close my eyes and I think about my life and I visualize it, that's something I enjoy. Then you visualize. If you go, no, I'm the type of person that when I put things down on paper, it just rocks my world. Like it really gets me thinking. Then you're going to be the type of person that writes this. And so what you're going to do is as you go throughout this process, you're going to engage all five senses. And I'll give you a simple example of how you can do this. Now, for me, I visualize every single day. I meditate for about 10 minutes. It's a very short process because, they say in meditation, you don't have 10 minutes, you don't have a life. And so 10 minutes, I do it. And one of the things I visualize almost every single day is I have a vision for a lake house on Lake Tahoe. I grew up going to Lake Tahoe. It is one of the nearest and dearest places to my heart and to my soul. And it's always been a vision of mine and my brothers to have a house on the lake where we can go there, we can wake up, we can enjoy our life and, build a life that allows us to do that. And so every single day I visualize this, and I think I can say never. I don't think I've ever visualized this with five senses. So the way that I would go about this as an example, and you're going to do this with, again, this thing that excites you. What would your life look like in 3 years if you pursued this and engage all five senses and kind of explore, whether it's on paper or in your mind, what your life would really start to look like? Now, for me, what I would visualize is, let's say I wake up in the morning and what I see as I'm visualizing this is I see a glass window and it looks out on beautiful Lake Tahoe. That's the first thing that I see. Now, the way that I could engage touch is I could go, as soon as I get out of bed and I put my feet on the ground, instantly I feel the carpet in my feet. I feel the carpet in my toes. It's soft. It feels like home. And so now I've engaged two senses, right? See, touch. And then I walk out the bedroom door and there's kind of a little bit of a squeak, right? When I open the door, the hinge squeaks a little bit. So I engage my hear, right? And then as I walk down the stairs, again, I'm going to engage my touch. I'm going to feel the hand railing. It's wood. It's this wood that's just beautiful cabin wood. You walk down, the banisters are wood. I'm feeling that. I'm feeling the carpet in my toes. And as I get down, I see my brother and he's in the kitchen. And he's making a cup of coffee. So now my smell comes in, right? Now I smell the fresh cup of coffee that he's made for us. And I really start to embody most of the senses, right? Now I got touch, taste, smell, hear, and see. Touch in the carpet. Oh, okay, so now we're going to go for taste. Okay, so now he gives me the cup of coffee, and I taste the cup of coffee, right? And it's the most delicious. He didn't just make coffee. He made like a cappuccino this morning or a latte. And so I just taste the warmness of that coffee on my lips and just wakes me up. And then I go out and I sit on the porch and I get a little bit of all the senses. I'm tasting the coffee. I'm smelling the fresh air. I'm seeing the lake. I'm hearing the calmness of the water. And I'm smelling the beauty of nature. I'm engaging all five senses. And as I visualize that, it takes this experience to the next level. So what I want you to do, you just heard me kind of do this in my life and something I want to create. I want to challenge you to do it for yourself. What is it? Are you going to write it down? Or are you going to visualize it? But do something so that you can start to engage all five senses, because when you do that, I promise you it's going to rock your world. That experience that I just walked you through myself just rocked my world. And so do it yourself. Allow yourself to engage all those senses. It's going to really put yourself in that place and allow you to continue creating the life that you really love. And so that, my friends, is the action after this week. Again, it's going to be to ask yourself, what is the one thing? What's the one thing that excites you? What's the one thing that fires you up that you go, if I just did this with my life, I would be ecstatic. I would be bragging about my life, if I'm honest. That's number one. Number two is to ask yourself why. Why does this thing excite you? Why does it fire you up? And if you want to go into an exercise here, take those 3 minutes, put a little bit of music on, and challenge yourself for 3 minutes to not lift your pen from that notepad. Right, for 3 minutes. It's going to be challenging. Your hand's going to probably get a hand cramp, but force yourself to continue to write, because you do this, some unbelievable things will come out. And then step 3 is to engage those 5 senses. Look at your life in 3 years. If you pursued this thing that excites you, and either visualize what your life would look like with all the 5 senses, or write down what would your life look like in 3 years if you pursued this and use all the 5 senses, right? If you write down, and instead of visualizing it, you maybe go, I smelled this in the morning. I felt that in the morning. I looked at this thing, right? Whatever it is, but make sure you engage all of the 5 senses. So that, my friends, is the action after this week with Matt West. Go out there, execute on the life that you deserve. Right? We talk about this a little bit in Matt's episode, but you got to make a bold decision in your life that you deserve a life, that you wake up every single day pinching yourself going, holy crap, I cannot believe this is my life. Like, you deserve that, right? So make a bold decision right now that you deserve that. You're going to take action immediately after listening to my voice right now, and you're going to go act on some of these action after items. So we will see you on the podcast next week, my friends. I love you. I appreciate you. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you next week. Take care.